Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Mull for Wednesday, the 2nd of August. With McShane, we keep working our way through the book of Judges. Today, chapter 16, the end of the story of Samson. And it's interesting that Samson takes up more of the book of Judges than any of the other judges. And yet he's such a complex and flawed individual. Chapter 16 begins with, one day, Samson went to Gaza where he saw a prostitute. He went to spend the night with her. And one reads that and thinks, hold on, he's a man called by God, set aside by God, walking with God in a certain sense because he's a Nazarite and he hasn't cut his hair and he doesn't drink alcohol. But look at how he's behaving. What a flawed individual. And not only was he morally flawed, he must have been a really strange looking person because as a Nazarite, he hadn't cut his hair. And when Delilah asks him what she must do to weaken him, he tells her, if you weave the 7 braids of my head into the fabric of a loom. And as I read that, I thought, the 7 braids of his head. He's been growing his hair for his whole life. He's got these 7 braids of hair. How long are they? How thick are they? What did the man look like? You see some of these pictures of some of the holy men in India that have been growing their hair for years. You think of some of the Rastafarians with their dreadlocks. What did Samson look like? This is completely complex and odd individual. And he eventually tells Delilah what happens, and she cuts his hair, and his strength left him. And as he wakes up, we're told he woke up and thought he could free himself, but he did not know that the Lord had left him. So up to that point, the Lord hadn't left him. And at this point, the Lord had left him. And I read that and I thought, he has a complex individual, and God was with him, despite his obvious failures. I think he could be described as not as a good man with some flaws, far more likely a flawed man with some good points. And yet God used him and eventually restored his strength and helped him deliver Israel from the Philistines. And it made me realize that as Christians, we are called to be perfect. Jesus says, be perfect as my Father in heaven is perfect. That's what we aim for. And that's what we try to become. But that's not a prerequisite for God. We don't have to be perfect for God to call us, and we don't have to be perfect for God to use us, because we see God using people like Samson. And as you read through the scriptures time and again, God works with real people, ordinary people, flawed people, people like you and like me. And for me, that's a great courage, a great encouragement, and a great comfort. Be blessed.